Hello, viewers and podcast listeners. Thank you for tuning in at xraised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. My name is Miles, and today's episode is about a topic that many of us don't think about enough: joy in sales. Now, if you think that's an impossible combination, let me introduce you to someone who's cracked that code. Joining us today is a leader whose career spans 3 decades with a mission to transform sales into a noble, fulfilling profession. He's not just your average sales expert, he's a world class innovator with a doctorate in sales management, 4 degrees from 4 continents, and a career with Fortune 100 companies that sharpen his expertise. He's also the mastermind behind blending the proven Sandler selling system with his vision of creating joy and authenticity in sales. So, buckle up because this one is one of those conversations you won't want to miss because it's not every day you meet someone who's elevating sales into an art form while making humanity at its core. It's a pleasure to introduce the Chief Executive Officer of Jabulani Consulting LLC, Dr. Deepak Bhootra. Hello, Dr.
Miles,
Deepak.
that is such an amazing introduction. I'm so touched. Thank you for that. I really appreciate the kind words. And yes, you got me going. I'm ready for anything you ask. Go ahead.
Thank you. You're very much welcome for the introduction. You deserve more than that. Thank you for joining the X-Rays community, and I've been looking forward to having this conversation with you. So let's get started because I have so many questions already buzzing in my head. First off, let's talk a bit about your impressive journey. Can you share with us the defining moments that led you to establish Jabulani Consulting?
You actually touched upon it, Miles. So I did 3 decades of, I would say, corporate work with the Fortune 100 companies. I worked across the globe. I've spent so much time shifting that sometimes my wife used to tell me, just leave the boxes on the floor. I'm not even opening them because you're going to change house another 3 years from now anyway. And that's a true story. So if you walk around my house, you'll find boxes lying all over the place. So
Yeah.
I worked very closely in business development sales. I actually figured out very early that I love the sales function. I also noticed that a lot of salespeople were getting burnt out, frustrated. For me, I thought, how can I do something different? I've done the corporate rat race. Even if I win the corporate rat race, I'm still a rat, right, Miles? So for me, COVID was a big turning point. The pandemic made me actually realize that we are all human. Where's the empathy? Where's the resilience? How are we maintaining these authentic connections in a world where everyone's working from home? And that's when I decided, you know what? It took me a couple of more years before I took that leap. I went ahead, exited the corporate world, started my own consulting, and I named it Jabulani, which is a Zulu word. I lived in South Africa for 15 years. I love South Africa. I
Oh,
love the people there. And the word is a very simple word. It just means rejoice, happiness. So I brought
yeah.
this word in, and the word I took to mean not a marketing way of getting into people's hearts, but a human way of telling people what is it that I'm interested in doing. And you said it, joy, positivity in everything that I do. So my mission is very simple. Sales is a noble profession. I want to build bridges. So I'm bringing in practical training, personal development, and that's how I'm attacking this agenda of mine.
Uh-huh. Well, thank you for sharing that. You've turned global expertise into an art form, really, Deepak. You've reimagined sales as not just a profession, but a path to growth, purpose, and most especially joy. And it's like you've given the sales world a heart upgrade, I would say. Speaking of joy, as you mentioned earlier,
Yes.
which I also look over the name Jabulani itself, which means rejoice or happiness. How do you bring that sense of joy and fulfillment into sales practices and leadership coaching for your clients?
You know, Miles, sales is a difficult job. I think everyone knows that, right?
Uh-huh.
Salespeople are the ones that get labeled as being pushy, as being aggressive, as being assertive. At the same time, sales is what I've said it, it's a noble profession. The
Mhm.
guys actually have the opportunity, unlike many of us, to earn an uncapped income. The what I do is I say to the guys, hey, I know you have huge challenges. I know you want to look at sales as a profession. I look at bringing joy in the sense that I want you to first understand yourself. So I actually look at assessments. I look at what excites salespeople. I help them celebrate their wins. I help them build momentum. For me, when we talk about sales, right, I talk to them about how do you fix your mindset. And when you do a mindset, or when you do what I call a reflection, it's very simple. At the heart of everything that you do are simple frameworks. Look for Why are you doing this? What's your purpose? What excites you? Why do you get out of bed every day? I teach them emotional intelligence skills. I tell them what's your purpose, what's your goal. It's a higher cause. It's a very big higher cause. And once you figure out your higher cause, you absolutely get better energy. And from that energy, you're going to develop great client relationships. And why do I call sales noble? Miles, sales is a noble function because you actually help people solve problems. You help
Mm-hmm.
people close pains. And a lot of people miss that. It's not about just selling you something, right? It's not a product, it's not a
Mm-hmm.
feature. This thing is supposed to do something for you. It's
Yeah.
supposed to solve a pain, it's supposed to give you a gain. That's
Yeah.
what I fit in,
Provide solutions.
providing solutions that
Uh-huh.
work for you. Absolutely.
Right. So injecting joy in sales and leadership, which is practical and delightful. And I'm liking this idea of celebrating progress and, embracing the human connection in sales. Honestly, this sounds like
Yeah,
the sales masterclass we've all been waiting for, Deepak. You've also worked closely with sales
absolutely.
leaders, right? And business owners for
Mhm.
years. So what are some of the most common challenges they face, and how does Jablani Consulting step in to help them overcome these hurdles?
Miles, $1 million question, right? After having worked in so many countries, I have touched the lives of, I would say, thousands of salespeople. Thousands of salespeople have also educated me about the selling function. And there's one thing I've realized. Most managers, most people are combating the fact that sales is a function where people burn out very quick. How do you keep people motivated? That's very important for me. A sales manager invests a lot of time and effort in building his team. And if you have 30% of that team disappearing every 2 or 3 years, then you have a problem, right? One of those things that we talk about sales is that you're as good as last quarter's numbers. You miss your numbers, people start disrespecting you. They have to reset the clock again and again and again. And by
Right.
the way, when you reset a clock, that bar just keeps getting higher and higher and
Higher.
higher. So it's about making sure that whatever is happening in a very transparent manner. We look at what is your culture like, your sales culture? Is it based on trust? Is it based on autonomy, right?
Mhm.
Managers are telling me that I'm actually frustrated. Salespeople go in, say all the right things, but I still don't understand how to lead this dance with the seller. This is where I bring in, I help. We structure your sales interactions. We give you a process or a methodology. You don't just wing it. You don't
Yeah.
go in and say that, okay, based on what he says, I will then decide what to say. No, you actually are visualizing the conversation. What will happen? Which direction can it go in? It sounds like a lot of work, but this misalignment that happens is very easy to fix. And
Yeah.
that's what we need to do. Leaders tell me that how do you get these guys to understand the bigger picture? I'm
Mhm.
frustrated. They don't understand. I have committed a number, but these guys keep doing things and I see them leaving money on the table because they're giving discounts.
Mhm.
That's another objective, right? So when we talk to salespeople, I say, hey, I will tailor the training. I will tailor to coaching, which delivers these business objectives, right?
Mhm.
We do things like how do you handle objections confidently? How will you build lasting relationships? But we also look at it from your effort is not small. Your effort is very big in the bigger context. You may be part of a system or a process, but if you as a cog fail, the entire system fails. So giving you
Yeah.
that context in the bigger picture is very important for me. That's how I typically work with small business owners, sales managers, how to get
Mhm.
the best out of their people.
Mhm. Well, you're basically rerouting teams around obstacles and guiding them straight to success through your tailored solutions, Deepak. And it's refreshing to hear how you've married data driven strategy with a deep understanding of human behavior. So, how about you walk us through your process for helping clients harness their strengths and build effective systems for success?
So you're asking me, Miles, to give you my secret sauce. Okay, here it comes. Here's my secret sauce. One of the things that we as human beings do is that we're quick to judge. We look at someone, we get a first impression, and we make a call. What
Mhm.
we say in my field or where I come from is stop. Human beings are like onions, multi-layered. You need to peel off. So why start with a very detailed assessment of what is it that this salesperson or my client
Yeah.
is saying, doing? What are his unique needs? What are his strengths? We typically do that by looking at sales metrics. I look at the practices, right? I look at how are they actually doing their behaviors, attitudes, what are they doing in terms of technique. I
Uh-huh.
use sophisticated assessment tool sets. DISC is a very big popular tool set that I use. It gets into understanding your behavioral traits. It helps me understand your communication style. At the end of the day, if you think about it, when I'm training a salesperson to be better with his customer, I'm not only just teaching him on how to overcome objections, how to handle cold calls, but I'm also teaching about mindset. I'm teaching him how to communicate. And I'm also teaching him how to communicate in a manner which suits the customer you're selling to. There
Mm-hmm.
are different types of people. If you have a certain communication style but you do not moderate it according to that person, you're walking into a trap. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a huge focus. Self-awareness first through assessments, build out a communication methodology with your customers, and then we keep looking at continuous improvement. What are the goals that I need to look at? How do we track your performance? How do we give you sustainable growth? I
Mm-hmm.
then tie this back with the feedback loop. The feedback loop allows us to see what's working, what's not working. And all you have to do is just dial things up. What works, do more of it. What doesn't work, do less of it or get rid of it.
Right.
And that evolution is something that I think a sales coach is supposed to do. And that's something that excites me. And that's what I'm committed to.
Mhm. Clarity, the right form of communication through psychology, not to forget confidence, which I guess those are
Yo,
ultimate combination for entrepreneurs. And your approach feels very actionable yet deeply personal, Deepak, like coaching tailor-made for the modern business world. So before I let you go, Deepak, Jabulani Consulting offers a wide range of services from sales training to career coaching. If a potential customer or client isn't sure where to start, how do you guide them toward the best path forward?
that's a great question. It's like going up to a buffet and getting confused with all the options, right? My
Uh-huh.
solution typically is that go back to your basics. What food excites you the most? Start with that, a little bit of that, and then build out your plate from there on, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I typically start with a structured consultation. Hey, Mr. Client, what are your challenges? What's your vision? What's your North Star? What makes you get out of bed? Tell me your goals, tell me your aspirations. We ask probing questions, Miles, and these probing questions are very simple. They're not designed to understand you as a human being, but they're actually designed to uncover your pain points and long-term objectives. When you give me that, I will then help you shape it. A lot of people get very nervous that, oh, Deepak, I'm going to give you unstructured information. I don't know how. No, just talk. I
Yeah.
will help you structure. That's where I fit in. And then the next level is, hey, now that we've got this unstructured conversation in a bit of a structured manner, we now understand you. Let's take it to the next level. Instead of this being a conversation of you lying on a couch talking to me, let's bring in some evaluations, some assessments, DISC. I bring in the specific assessments from Sandler. We bring insights into those different services. I
Yeah.
then look at which of my components is going to help this person the most. So, as an
Mm-hmm.
example, one of the assessments we do, Miles, has 18 components to it, right? 18 things that you do as a good salesperson. We
Yeah.
find you're weak on three. Hey, we customize, we tailor a program for you. We focus on those three things first, and I
Mm-hmm.
build the rest later. So it becomes
Yeah.
like an 80-20 principle, right? You spend 80% of the time helping people on the areas of development weaknesses. If you want to be politically correct, areas of development, right? And by the way, you have certain strengths. I will help you get clarity on what your strengths are. When you
Mm-hmm.
know your strengths, I use your strengths to actually mitigate your weaknesses because I'm going to feed
Mm-hmm.
your strengths. And that's very critical. Every person comes thinking they need to change. It's actually not about change. You already have the power in you. It's about letting me shine a light on that power,
Mm-hmm.
illuminate the pathway for you. And then I tie it back with something very simple. What will the results look like? How will these results be measured? And how will you know that you achieve growth? Let's define that clearly and then work towards it. That is, in essence, Miles, how I typically work with my customers in breaking down the best path forward.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk, understand. Let's get deep into the understanding and validate the understanding. Let's look for weaknesses or areas of development. Let's then strategize and prioritize what needs to be fixed first. And
Mm-hmm.
let's not get caught up with where you're already very strong. In fact, where you're strong, I'm going to use your strengths to then cast a light on how to starve your weaknesses. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very simple framework. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you can take this framework from a couple of hours all the way to a lifelong coaching agreement or discussion as well with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Sales longevity is ultimately the goal here, Miles, right?
I
And it's
agree.
like any booster, vaccines, stuff like that. You got to take them on a periodic cadence. And that's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing with sales. A lot of people tell me, I've learned a lot deeper, but along the way, I forgot it because I didn't apply all of it. And
Right.
that's where people like me fit in. We come in and say, how do we create this framework that allows you to keep working for the better? That,
Mm-hmm.
Miles, is my long answer to your simple question.
Well, thank you so much. It's basically you're making it easy. And I always like that approach that you mentioned, especially during a challenging time. Go back to basics. I really like
You're
that. So
right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, so I'd be a business tailor custom fitting solutions for every client's unique needs. And I
Mhm.
wish we could chat more, Deepak, but I
Oh,
understand
yeah.
I understand you've got a lot on your plate, and I appreciate your time to share all this. From redefining sales as joyful, meaningful profession to empowering leaders
Yeah.
with clarity, confidence, and compassion, you've shown us that the human side of business is just as important as the numbers. So, I won't be surprised if one day our next conversation will be about a book that you'll write, The Art of Finding Joy in Sales, perhaps. Let's
And
see.
Miles, that's a brilliant idea. Let's work on that. Thank you for that
Yeah,
wish.
you have so much insights that you could share, and I think you need to write a book for that.
I will.
Well, thank you so much for gracing our show, Deepak, and it's a pleasure to have
Thank you, Miles. Take care, everyone. Bye bye. Bye bye,
you. You
Miles.
too. That's it for now, folks. If you're ready to transform your sales or leadership journey, head over to jabulaniconsulting.com to learn more. This episode reminds us to embrace the joy in your journey, just like Deepak has taught us today. Until next time, I'm signing off for now. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X Rays.